There we go. Hi everyone, I am the man. Welcome back to the Power of Video Gaming Time Tunnel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. Nothing to do with video games. I have a few games that I'm working on right now, but today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to talk about a TV show that I know a lot of you are familiar with, Quantum Leap. 97 episodes, starred Scott Bakula and the late Dean Stockwell. And it was a time travel show. It was about a scientist, a Dr. Sam Beckett, who came up with a way to send himself through time, and he was able to interact with people in that time period. So the show went on for 5 seasons, and every there were a lot of unique elements to the show. There was nothing like it on TV at the time, and really, today they don't really do shows like this anymore. This show really was its own thing, and every episode was basically totally different. You had your two main actors, but Sam, the scientist, he had memory problems. So basically, every time he would leap, his memory would reset, and he would have to deal with the person that he is inside or sharing an aura with, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to explain it. But he had all kinds of problems dealing with different situations, psychologically as well as, physically. He was basically himself, but everybody around him saw the person that the character that he was um, uh, in in that time period. So, some episodes were kind of slow. It wasn't really an action show, but I didn't even know about the show through most of its running. The way that I found out about it was I was still pretty young when it was running, and my mom had dropped me off at my grandma's house. She had to run some errands. I'll never forget the moment, because I was sitting on the couch, and my grandma was watching this show on TV, and it was pretty boring, just people talking and so on and so forth. And I was just really about to doze off when one of the characters suddenly got all blue and white, and there was all this electricity and everything around him, and the whole screen went white for an instant. And then when it came back, I noticed that it was the same actor, a guy I'd never heard of or seen before. And I noticed that it was him, but he was in a different outfit, and there was a totally different situation going on around him. And that went away, and it went to the commercial. And I turned to my grandma and I said, "Grandma, what was that?" And she said, "Well, this is a show called Quantum Leap, and the way it works is every episode he's a different person." And she explained, kind of basically how the show worked and everything. And by this point, I had watched Star Wars and Star Trek, and I was really into science fiction. So, in time travel, I loved, time travel ideas and things like that. I was a big fan of the original Time Machine movie. The idea of traveling, beyond your own lifetime, traveling into a far future or a far past. I like stuff like that a little better because it um, really opens up your imagination, opens up the possibilities more. You can kind of see, the way things are going, how things are going to be, 10, 20 years from now. We're going to have way more powerful computers. We're going to have maybe quantum computers. We're going to have all this AI. We're going to do everything wrong and bad with AI. Not to get sidetracked, but There is AI in Quantum Leap, and that's part of sort of how they in the show how they kind of figure out like what the leaper is supposed to do, and it gives them they can look into records and see what the odds are of doing certain things, and the original show followed a pretty standard repeatable format, and you spent most of the time in that time period with Scott Bakula, and Bakula is a phenomenal actor. That was a dream job for anybody, to be able to put on, all these different outfits and in different, playing different characters, playing different, playing women, playing, people of different ethnicities and things like that. So, um, it really is a timeless show, and it's a lot more topical. It's a lot more topical and progressive than people realize. People, we're going to get into the new show at some point, but because there's a lot of I'm a big fan of the original show. So I've been listening to all of the comments and the opinions about this new show, getting into its second season, and I mean there was a lot of negativity towards, and there still is just people out there that just hate everything about it and blah blah blah. And I'm choosing to take a bit more measured approach to it. It's so much time has passed. We're fans of the show. Um, we were never gonna get what we wanted. Stockwell passed away. That was frustrating, and they were not gonna recast and get Bakula somehow. But Bakula, he's getting up there. He's not old, but he's getting into a situation at a point where he probably just doesn't have the interest anymore in all these years later, trying to tie up a loose end that just maybe some things just aren't meant to be fully explained, and you have to accept that. People move on, they do other things. We have, like I said, 97 episodes of this show. So anybody who's really interested, if you haven't watched the entire show, I picked it up. I can't remember the episode that I saw, but I picked it up late. I was probably in the fourth, so I wasn't watching that much TV at that time. I was way more video games and friends and whatnot. I wasn't watching hardly any TV. And there was no real internet. There wasn't streaming anything. So if you didn't know about something and you didn't read the TV guide, you had no idea. So I had no idea this show was even on. But I can tell you one thing. I did all my homework and everything super fast because I was gonna sit in front of the TV at X o'clock, whatever time it was, and I was gonna watch this show with this amazing idea that I'd never heard of before, and it was incredible. Even if the leap wasn't the most interesting, because the show dealt with a lot of different subjects. I mean, a lot of different emotional stuff and family situations, and the writing on the show was really good. Because it's not an action show. It's very much a situation drama, mixed with science fiction, and this kind of man out of time, trying to deal with people and situations that are totally new to him, and new to the audience as well. I mean, when you're in a show like this, you're flung into a lot of different personality types. So there's a lot of really good one-time character acting in the show, because you need that. I mean, these people are you're gonna see these characters, one time, so they really have to be good. And there's a lot of good acting, a lot of good production value, in the original show, and in the new show too. The new show has good the past day character acting is very good, and they've gotten some better known actors to play some characters. And the original show had a lot of big name actors. Um, Maybe they got bigger after Quantum Leap, but there was Roddy McDowell is in there, Terry Farrell from DS9, of course Dean Stockwell, and there's a lot of good characters in there. So so you get to the last episode. It's called Mirror Mirror, and even though I hadn't watched most of the show, I felt the anguish and the disappointment at the end of that episode, because you don't get closure for the character. Sam just didn't come home, and then you hold your breath and you hope and hope there'll be a movie, a TV movie, or a continuation, but it never happens. And so my torture was double, because you had to wait. I mean, I had to wait. I was almost glad the show had been canceled, because you had to wait forever to get episodes, and we weren't doing CDs really. Maybe there were CD-ROMs for computers, but there was no DVDs. There's VHS and no internet. So I knew that at some point they would start dropping VHS tapes of it, but it took so long, it drove me crazy. You watch an episode one time and it's over in a blink, and there's commercials and it's distracting, and you want to watch it. So many of those Star Trek episodes. Uh, a couple in the first two seasons that I really did enjoy, but it took forever to get the VHS stuff out there so I could watch those episodes again. It drove me crazy. But for Quantum Leap, I hadn't seen any of it. So even just to watch the pilot, the very first episode was called Genesis. It was a two-parter, and it's really good. It was a really good pilot. Very no special effects really. Quantum Leap was not a special effects type of show. It wasn't Star Trek. Certainly wasn't Star Wars. It was very low budget, and certainly character driven. Actors, really good actors, and there were no special effects. I mean, they had the when the hologram Al would appear. Sometimes they would do an optical effect. It would show a door. Let's see if I can pull it up. It'll know what I'm talking about. So this is the accelerator. We know that. Um, Different hand links, but whenever Al would come on the screen, he would come through. Like, here's kind of a shot. This is a back shot of him walking into the imaging chamber, and this is a shot from the pilot, with no special effect. You can see what he does is he just walks through the empty space, and goes through the door that isn't really there. So when he did that, I was kind of like, okay, that was kind of, it's like they couldn't like put a door there. So they ended up putting a door in there. But the pilot episode, it sets up the characters, it sets up the situation. Um, there were several different versions of the hand link that Al uses to communicate with the AI to give Sam information. The new In the new show, the hand link is just like a bubble and they look at it and it tells them things. It doesn't really give you much of the sense that it's really doing much of anything. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to. Oh, there it is. Here's one. So that's what it looks like when the hologram appears. And apparently, this was a very expensive effect to do. It was like thousands of dollars to do this. So sometimes you see it, but a lot of times you just hear it, and like you'll hear the sound, and Sam will react to it because he hears it, and he'll turn around, and Al will just be there. So that's how they did that. So we did the pilot episode. He plays a uh, he plays a Air Force pilot who has to test a brand new experimental jet, which of course Sam has no idea how to do. So the very first leap is actually pretty intense because you're like, how is he? Obviously he can't do this, but Al is a Navy guy, a military man, so he has a lot of experience. He's able to help Sam get through some of his situations. So I thought I would just go through some of my favorite episodes, some of the more popular episodes. I really enjoy the one where he leaps into Lee Harvey Oswald, the JFK one. There's a lot of JFK time travel movies and things like that, but Harvey Oswald. So this guy, here's some still shots. This was a really good one. This is kind of at the end where you can see he's looking down the barrel like he's actually going to do it. And this was a really good episode for a whole lot of reasons. One reason is it was one of the times when the person that Sam was in was the dominant part. So Sam was actually having a really hard time keeping Oswald, under control, and he's actually loses control a few times in the show. So that was really cool. It's like, is he really gonna do it? Anytime they could find some way to interact with real history while not overblowing it. They did it a few times. They did it with Oswald. They did it with Elvis. They did a thing with Elvis. They did a thing with Michael Jackson. Marilyn Monroe. We saw, and there's just so many. There's too many to really remember. But the actor, the guy who played Lee Harvey Oswald, this is a this is a shot from what they call the waiting room in the original show. This is the person that Sam is trading places with. But in the present time, this is Al talking to Lee Harvey Oswald. Al sees Sam, which is this guy. He doesn't see Lee Harvey Oswald. He sees Sam. Now this is confusing for some people. It's there's a lot of speculation and debate in this area about things. I'm not trying to get too much into the specific details of how and why, but anyways, it's these scenes were actually kind of interesting because it gave you a different perspective on the show. You were like, wow, the other guy is like here, and they have a table. They have a table in this room, and it's glass, or it's a mirror. It's a mirror table, so the person can look down and they can see Dr. Beckett. So if they have to get information from this person, they can kind of explain to the person that they're part of a time travel. I mean, they sometimes he just tells the person flat out, this is time travel." So it's you know sometimes they break the rules, and that's what makes these shows more fun. I mean, if it's gonna be a time travel show, things are gonna go wrong. I mean, look at Back to the Future. I mean, Back to the Future 2 is just a big paradox. So I get into it. And Scott Bakula does a really, really good job in this episode. A lot of good serious drama there. We had the three part episode called Trilogy. Boom, boom, boom. Let's see if I can pull up. I think. Yep, this is one. Sam keeps leaping into the same time period of time over a woman named Abigail. And I think in the first one, she's a girl. She's a child. And then in the second two, she's older. This is from the third part. I loved this story. It was one of those instances where Sam seemed to be drawn back to the same person or time. And the explained reason is that it's Abigail and she's having these problems in with the family or in the city. They suspect her of a crime or whatever. I can't remember the exact storyline anymore, but it was a really good, just kind of not super dark, but darker. This is another one. This is from the second part. Again, some really good actors in there. And again, this was a period piece. A lot of these episodes feel really of the time that they're supposed to be in. They're lit just a certain way. The hair, the just the colors, and it's a show that really, they did a good job making it realistic. For the time period. This is the guy, famous actor. I'm forgetting his name, but he was in some TV shows and commercials and whatnot. That guy. So let's see. And the end of that of Trilogy was really cool. It's got this lady in it, this woman with these crazy, just amazing eyes. She's been in other movies. She was in Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer. She's in Leviathan with Peter Weller. Other movies, one of the Stepfather movies. She plays the mother in one of those. Just her eyes are just crazy. She has like really amazing looking eyes. So whenever she's in something, I watch it. Forgetting her name, but she's a beautiful woman, certainly. I think this is Abigail from part two. So this is your more grown up Abigail. I think in this one, Sam finds himself in a relationship with her. So he's like, "What is going on?" She was a kid, and now she's all over me. So that was a fun and interesting episode. There's the episode, which probably my favorite episode is the one where Sam and Al switch places. And it's called The Leap Home. The Leap or The Leap Back. The Leap Home. We'll do this one. The Leap Home is a great two-part episode where Sam actually leaps into himself. Now, this was a very interesting episode because he leapt into himself at like 8 years old or whatever, and it's not really explained as well as maybe it should have been. Because I always thought that if he could figure out how to do that, how to leap into himself, then you would think that he would be able to figure out, how to get home and not be 8 years old. And they never show. I don't remember them showing him as a young boy in the present day. But so he leaps into himself, and his older brother Tom is killed in Vietnam, and Al was a POW in Vietnam. People that know the show know all this. So Sam gets it in his head that he has leapt into himself to do everything to save his to get his father to eat better so he doesn't have a heart attack in a couple years, and to get his younger sister to not marry a man who he knows is going to be a drunk and beat her, and also to save his brother from going to Vietnam and getting killed. Now, you would think that one of those three things would be, like what he was supposed to do. But it's never really super clear in that. I kind of felt like maybe it was a sign to the audience, maybe, or that he was getting more control. He was able to focus his leaping more directly. And the proof of it really is that in the second part, he leaps into Vietnam in the same platoon as his brother. Now, there's no way that's a coincidence. He's gone there because he realized that he wasn't old enough and strong enough there to change anything. So he went to Vietnam. And he does actually end up saving his brother. So that was really interesting. And the new show starring Ernie Hudson, the guy from Ghostbusters, Ernie plays the guy that Sam leaps into in the second part of this episode. This is a shot of Sam, and this is his brother Tom. They're in Vietnam, and he wants so bad to tell his brother everything that's going on, but he can't. And this is a shot of him seeing his mother again. She has no idea what's going on. But let's see if I can find a picture of Sam, of the guy that. Okay, yeah. So this is the guy that obviously he's leapt into, but in the he's an African American man, and Ernie Hudson does a really good job, kind of rebuilding this character, and he gets a little bit. They give you a little bit of backstory in the new show. He kind of explains kind of what that experience was like for him. There he is. There he is. That's a good shot. So every time Sam looks in the mirror, he sees the person like everyone else does. So they bring in Ernie Hudson to revive this character, and when I get into the revival show in a little bit, they're doing something with magic that I didn't see at first because he really isn't in the show in the new show that much. But he's going to be, whether intentionally or by the complaining of people on the internet, it looks like Ernie Hudson is going to be playing a more pronounced role in the show, as he should be. I mean, we've been, Quantum Leap fans have been dying. We've been dying. We get no movie, we get, nothing. There's comic books I don't read, and there isn't too much online really about the show. There's little things here and there. There's some found footage that NBC swore that didn't exist, but that's been found. I might touch on that a little bit, maybe not. But for right now, I just wanted to I'll stick to going over some of these great Quantum Leap episodes. So at the end of this episode, something else happened, and let's see if I can find a picture of it. Let's see. Hmm. Al is a POW at the time that Sam is there in Vietnam. Um, and there's a photographer there with the group, and she ends up taking a picture of Al. Let's see if I can find it real fast. Al. She ends up taking a picture of Al being being led through the jungle as a prisoner, and she takes the picture, and that's how they find out that Al is actually still alive. So that was really cool. That was a really cool moment for Al. And here it is. That's a close up. But when he turns around just as she takes the picture, and that's how they figure out that Al's still alive. So that was a great episode. We like that one. There are a lot of episodes in the original show that do deal with the personal aspects and lives of the characters. Not a whole lot. Most of the show is in the leap. But they do, it's again, it's 97 episodes. So you really got to watch them all. The more of them that you watch, the more of that, character stuff that pops up throughout the show. So the leap back. This is the one. This is probably my favorite episode. I could not. I must have watched this episode. I mean, I still watch it. I'd watch it right now. um, the episode right before this, though, we could probably talk about that one first because it sets up. That was Shock Theater. Boom, 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 boom. We're not shopping at Walmart for that. Okay. So, Shock Theater, this is a shot of Sam. He leaps into a psychiatric ward, and he is given electroshock therapy at the beginning of the episode, like right when he leaps in, I think. And what it does is it splinters his personality. So what happens is he literally goes insane. He starts revisiting people that he's leapt into in past leaps in real time in the show. It's incredible what Scott Bakula does in this episode. He leaps in the era. He switches personalities several times. This one is him going back to a man named Jimmy who had Down syndrome, I believe, and he actually leaped into Jimmy two times. We'll touch on those in a minute, but you can see just by Bakula's expression here that he's doing a character, and this is the doctor who really is, I mean, totally convinced that this guy is insane. because he's doing all this, all these different things and being all these different characters. And this is here's a shot of Sam talking to Al, and Al, he's telling, Al is seeing Sam, splinter off into all these different personas, and he doesn't know what to do about it. And they actually start losing contact with Sam, because all of this going back and forth in these personalities is interfering with the connection in the present. So that started to become a real problem. And it was cool because every character he leapt into, he would see them in the mirror. So that was interesting. Also, was interesting is that some of these mentally, you know, challenged individuals, they could see Al, and this is a great, no special effects, but this gentleman here, I don't know his name, but he's in Time Cop. He plays the guy that convinces the congressmen to do time travel or police time travel. And wouldn't you know, you know, maybe he time traveled and now he can see Al. I don't know. But so this was a very interesting sort of episode. Some people like could see Al. I don't think they'll do this in the new show, but it was interesting that certain people could see the hologram. Kids could see it. Mental people with mental issues could see Al. I don't know why or anything, but so that was something different. This is another personality that he's getting involved in, and so what ends up happening. Here's a still shot at the end of the episode. Ziggy deduces that the only way that Sam is going to get out of this personality mumbo jumbo is to get another electric shock. so so we're really grinding the character down at this point to say, okay, they shocked you at the beginning and it really screwed you up, but we're gonna do it again, and you'll be better. So that's what they do. Al or Sam starts acting crazy, crazier on purpose, not because he's having a real problem, but he does it on purpose, because Al is about to disappear, because they can't get the connection to Sam. So that's how they figured out. And that's what happens. They shock him again. They leap together, and that's what you see here. You see Sam leaping, and then you see Al is having a leap moment as well there. And so here's another shot of it. And very very basic special effects. Light, electricity, and lighting. But it was cool. I mean, for having nothing to work with. They did a good job. This is another shot leaping out. And so Aftershock Theater was the leap back was probably my favorite episode. I love this episode. This is the one where Sam finally gets to go home. He gets to go to the present from. He goes to the present from the time that it's been that he's been leaping. In other words, like he doesn't go back to the beginning. He comes back from the present for everybody else. But what's happened is him and Al have switched places. He is the hologram, but he's himself. Supposedly, I guess it's kind of a confusing situation because him and Al change places, but when Sam goes into the present, I'm assuming that they see Sam, but I don't know. Maybe they never really. I don't think they show him looking in the mirror in the present. So I guess we're just sort of supposed to assume that it is Sam. Like in other words, like his wife, when his wife kisses him, she's not looking at Al. She's kissing. She's looking at Sam. So that's kind of how I look at it. I try not to think too much about that. But I just it's a great episode. There's so much. Um, it's such a good character payoff for Beckett. You know, he's been leaping for years. He doesn't have a memory, and he finally figures out how to get the imaging chamber door open. Because in the present, because of that electricity, they think that there's been a problem. There's been some sort of a problem in the accelerator, so they can't open it, or they can't open the hologram door for whatever reason. So they have no idea what's happened, and Sam figures out how to tell them in the future from where Al is and where he's stuck. He comes up with a way to tell them to open the door, and what he does is he sends a letter to the future, and it works. It works. It's kind of like what you see at the end of Back to the Future 2, where Doc writes the letter and then they give it to him at the end, so that Marty knows that even though he saw, Doc disappear, he's okay. He's just way in the way, like 100 years in the past or wherever he goes, way back there. So it's just a great payoff for the character. He gets to kiss his wife. It's a good moment. But at the same time, he knows that it's not going to last. He knows that he can't leave Al in that situation. So he does. There's a certain situation that develops, and he has to help Al. And what he does is he leaps into Al in that time period, which seems to work. It sends Al back to the present, and it puts Sam back in that time period. But that time period was before Sam's birth. That was within Al's lifetime. So that may or may not have caused Sam problems down the road. It's not dealt with really that I can remember. And after Sam leaps, he has no memory. He doesn't remember. He doesn't remember his wife. He doesn't remember him and Al. Trading places. None of it. So that was a little bit. That was a little bit disappointing. Let's see if I can get. We don't want to. So Scott Bakula did get to kiss quite a few women. I believe this is Terry Hatcher. She played Sam's wife earlier in their relationship, or before they met. He remembers that this is his wife in the episode. So that was kind of cool. However, she is played by a different woman when Sam goes back to the present. That's her. I don't remember her name, but she does a good job. She's only in a couple episodes, couple scenes, but the uh, the scene where they kiss is really cool. I really enjoyed that scene. Um, it was a powerful moment in the show, and probably because I'm looking for it, it's not going to come up. Oh, I didn't see it. Boom, boom, boom. See every single one, but that one. That's okay. This is the shot at the end when he decides that he has to go save Al. And that was sad and frustrating. So, and we had the episode called MIA. This is a very good episode. Um, there are some pretty touching moments in this one. Al tries to sabotage Sam by not telling him that his wife is in the area in this leap. And what happened in Al's history is when he was a he was a POW. Beth remarried, and when Al came back, he was obviously devastated by this, and it tore him up. It turned him into a drunk, turned him into a guy that just didn't really care about anything. He didn't he had no he lost the only thing that kept him going that whole time. So it was pretty sad situation. But at the end of the show, which we'll get into in a little bit, at the end of the show, Sam goes back and he fixes that for Al. He tells Al, or he tells Beth that Sam is still alive and that he is coming back. And this is the shot when Sam tells her that Al is coming back. So that was a cool episode. Really enjoyed that one. There's so many good. I mean, there's so many good ones. There's the Egyptian one. I spelled that wrong, but it comes up. This is the one where he leaps into archaeology, and there's a curse, and Al's freaking out about it, and Sam doesn't believe it, and they're all scared about the curse of Eminemene, whoever it is. This is another shot of it, and looking in the mirror, seeing different people. You know, every episode, and um, Al is always wearing something different. People, talk about Al and his style choices. They didn't really do a whole lot of showing. Because in the show, I think the present day is like 1990 something. It's like not even like, I mean, we're way beyond now. When the show was taking place, I'm pretty sure. This new show takes place in the present today. So there's always the thing, the technology is so far ahead of its time, blah blah blah, But this new team in the new show, they seem a little bit, I don't know, like they haven't learned anything from the old show. It's like maybe they didn't watch the old show. No, I know. They don't know it's a show. I know. I just mean like technical things and just like you know, this is 97 leaps. So, I mean, they had to have been taking like notes. I mean, maybe Al didn't write anything down. I mean, maybe he didn't tell the government a lot of stuff. I don't know. There's not a whole lot of um, specific information as far as like, what Al was communicating to people. There wasn't a whole lot of government involvement. There's a couple scenes where Al has to, deal with the government people to get funding. Um, I think it's of nope, the Taming of the Shrew was a different one from what I was thinking of. This was Brooke Shields was in this one, so that was a cute episode. They're adrift in a raft. So that was a cool one. Let's see. What's another really good one? Um, the Boogeyman. We just had Halloween, so we can talk about the Boogeyman. This episode was really weird. This was a really weird one. It deals with an evil version of Al, and the entire episode, you don't really key in on it. Sam, um, I don't know. It's hard to explain. You don't really feel like there's anything strange, like outside of a normal episode. Like you don't really feel like something is really different until Sam figures out Al says something or something, and Sam is like, "Wait a minute, I didn't tell you that." Sam is beginning to suspect that something is not right, but he doesn't share it with the audience really. So all of a sudden, um, Al starts acting strange, and this is a little bit off-putting because you've never seen anything wrong with Al other than like glitching and we're losing contact and but nothing like paranormal or like demonic or anything remotely like that. So all of a sudden Al starts freaking out and starts talking like he's a demon or something, and they make his eyes like red or something. Like, I mean, you can see just by how he looks right here, he's not regular Al. He's doing some weird face. So this bad Al seems to know that Sam is leaping. He says something to the effect of "What gives you?" I can hear the line. It's something like, "What gives you the right to go bumbling around in time, putting right what I made wrong," or something. And Sam says, "Well, I'm just trying to get home." And Bad Al says, "Well, you're not gonna make it," you know. And I was just like, what's going on here? Why is this Bad Al seem to know, you know, what Sam is up to and all that? So this was a very peculiar episode, very strange. He leaps into a now this is good Al at the end after they've worked it all out or whatever. But this is supposed to be a young Stephen King, and there's lots of references to horror movies in the episode. A lot of strange things do happen in it. Um, I think this might be a better shot. You can see they put a little red. You can see it a little bit better there. They put a little red in his eyes there. Um, there's there's a sequence at the end where he tries to strangle Evil Al, and then he starts seeing all these other people, and the whole it's like that Tom Petty music video where the whole thing is spins around. But this is spinning like really fast, and this is one still shot. Now this is the guy who Sam is supposed to save at the very beginning of the episode, but he leaps in, um, doesn't know that, and the guy ends up falling off a ladder and dies, and dies, and so Sam realizes that he might have been too late to do that. So we go through this whole sequence of spinning around, which isn't really explained. But it was definitely like here's a shot as he's about to fall right there. So that was kind of a kooky one right there. And let's see. So we can talk a little bit about. Well, I mentioned Jimmy. So the first time we meet Jimmy, this is Jimmy. Sam leaps into this kid with Down syndrome, I believe, and the goal of the leap is to get Jimmy so he make it so he's not institutionalized. Um, his brother is married or whatever, and their relationship the is not that great. There's tension. Jimmy is, trying, but he's making mistakes, and he's at his brother gets him a job on the docks as a dock worker, but he's just having problems. He's breaking things, and so on and so forth. So Sam leaps in to help Jimmy and make Jimmy better, so that Jimmy can keep his job and not make anybody mad. And Sam actually gets it done. He gets Jimmy into a situation where he can, do better. And it's a really good episode. I liked the story. Very well done. Good, really good character acting in that. But what ends up happening is Sam has to leap. He leaps out at the end, and they do some other episodes, and then Sam leaps into Jimmy again, and he can't figure out why. And then Al comes along, and Al can't figure out why either. And we're going to get into that, and then we'll continue on. I'm going to take just a quick break, a couple of minutes, and I'll come back, and we will continue our adventure in Quantum Leap. Thank you for watching. I am the man, and I will be right back. All right, I'm back. So we were talking about Jimmy. Okay, so Jimmy, this was a situation that developed, I think, in the fifth season, where Sam went back and leaped into Jimmy again, and they couldn't figure out why. Well, as it turned out, there is another group of quantum leapers, and the goal, and that's in that program, is to put wrong, make things, screw things up, make things bad. So we'll go. So these evil leaper people, as they're called, see right here. So you see Al. This is the good guy, and this is the bad hologram right here. This black guy. His name is Thames or Tams or something, and you can see here. This is his hologram door situation. And this woman is the bad girl, the bad lady. She's like the person that she was a hologram to another leaper, and but they're trying to they're trying to catch Sam and the other leaper, Aaliyah. So this woman is leapt into somebody else in the same time period. So this woman is not really people see somebody else, but so these bad people. This is a really interesting storyline that is being touched on in bits and pieces in the new show. And in this story, the leaping is being used as like a torture device. It's like a prison or something. They leap you into people and they make you do bad things and they monitor you and make sure that you're doing what they say. And if you don't, bad things happen to you. And they lie to you and they tell you just do one more and then you're done. But it's a lie because every time you leap, your memory gets reset. So you could be doing it for a long time and not realize it. So, Sam is really in the same sort of situation, but he's a good guy. He's trying to do good. So, when these evil leaper people, they don't know anything about Sam. There's no indication that they were looking for him. It just happened to happen that way. And Sam went back and he discovers this is Aaliyah. This is the girl. This is the woman. And in this episode, she's the hologram. She has the hand link there. And this is the prisoner, Aaliyah. And there's only just a brief explanation for how this whole situation came about, and it's not really elaborated on. Neil Patrick Harris is in one of the Evil Leaper episodes that sort of sets up the chain reaction for the finale. Here's another shot. She's the hologram. So Aaliyah, has been on board, with this situation, and when she meets Sam, it gives her hope that maybe she can get out of this, crazy situation that she's in. So, at the end of the one episode, he does free Aaliyah, and she leaps, and her character is never explained. So we're sort of left with a with a question as to who those people were and where they come from. And this is a shot of the evil leaper leaping in, You can see it's a different color. It's more red. It's the negative energy type of deal. And this is a shot where Sam is trying to get them to leap together at the end of that episode. So kind of cool how they kind of did these different situations. There's the evil Al again. So this is the end of the Jimmy one where she's just about to shoot him, but she decides not to. So by her not doing that, that sets up the whole thing. So the evil leapers, they're out there, and they could be anybody. So you never know. With Quantum Leap, you have no idea. So a lot of great episodes. I'm not going to go through them all, but I just wanted to touch on a few that really, still stick with me, and you know, stories that just, are really, really fun. It's a really good show. So now we will do a little bit of a breakdown of the final episode. It's called Mirror Mirror, or Mirror Image. I'm sorry. I keep seeing Mirror Mirror. So this is the last episode, and it's a very strange story. It starts out with Sam leaping into a bar, and he leaps in, and he goes up to the bar and looks in the mirror, and he sees himself, and he sees what he perceives as his present day self. He comments on, he has gray hair, his face is different. He hasn't, seen his own reflection in, 6 years or however long it's been. So at the very start, you're like, whoa, what's going on? What's going to happen? And throughout the episode, there's a lot of strange things that go on. There's he encounters people, including Jimmy. Incidentally, this is the outside of the bar. He encounters people in this bar that he has seen in previous leaps. They bring back all these actors, and but in this bar, their names are different, and also there are people in the bar with names of people that Sam knows in the present. Gushy, the computer guy, and they call a guy Ziggy, which is what Sam names the AI, Ziggy. Everyone knows that. But there's a guy in the bar with that nickname. So Sam catches on eventually that something is not right. And the bartender, this guy who is actually in the pilot episode, this is the captain. They call him Weird Ernie, and I don't think Sam really recognizes him as much. I don't remember if there's a scene where he's like, "Hey, you're that guy," but being it's the same actor, if you've seen the episode, you know that hey, that's what's going on. So as it turns out, this bartender guy, he knows somehow that Sam is leaping. It's sort of, he doesn't say it right away. He kind of plays around with Sam, but he reveals to Sam that Sam is the one who is in control of the leaping. It's not some, supernatural force, or it's not just random chance. He's not just bumbling around in time, forever. He is actually in control. And for me, I was always like, why didn't Sam figure this out a long time ago? It seems like, for someone to just tell him that now, and not really explain, you know, where this information is coming from. I thought it was a bit much. I thought because I knew that it wasn't all going to be explained. But actually, there is a lot of explanation. People, fans of the show and watching this new show, they're like, they're not explaining anything and blah blah blah. What happened to Sam? You know, we have to accept that a lot of time has passed, and you know this new show is attempting to answer questions that we all have about these characters. But it's not gonna. We're not gonna get it the way that we'd like it for all the reasons. You know. So you gotta take things a piece at a time, and don't read too much into things. Don't overblow things. Just enjoy. I think we should can just enjoy what we have and not be super critical um, about the details. But there are details in this particular episode that do provide some explanation. One being they in the present time they can't find Sam, and there's nobody in the waiting room. Even though it appears as though he's leapt into himself, there's nobody in the present. So the explanation for this is that he has leapt into himself, which seems to answer the question of, who was in the waiting room when Sam leaped into himself when he was a boy. So I guess when he leaps into himself, he's himself fully, and there's nobody in the waiting room. So it just depends on like how old he is when he accomplishes this. Why he doesn't just leap into himself as an adult, like say 2 weeks before he leaped the first time. Like it's like come on. But anyways, in the episode, the computer guy um, they figure out that Sam has leapt into himself at the moment of his birth when he's just a baby. So I just watched 2010. Big fan of that movie. 2001, the Stanley Kubrick. At the end of both of those movies, you see the character of David Bowman at all different like ages. You see like his young self. You see an older version of him. You see a way older version of him, and then you see him as a newborn baby, like floating, in midair. You see it in the original, and they do it again in 2010. I think that Mirror Mirror is sort of a play on that in the sense that what they're saying is that his sub he has figured it out. He's figured out how to hit his own bullseye, and what he's done is whether on purpose or accident, by leaping into himself as a baby, he has found the perfect hiding place. No one will ever find him as an infant. So in theory, he could just stay in his infant body forever, grow up, and just do it all again. It's a very bold idea for a TV show. And I don't know how many if people really like caught on to that and like thought about it, but a lot of people have complained over the years that there's not enough explanation for what happened to Sam Beckett. Well, there's all kinds of explanation. So the whole episode, in my view, is happening in Sam's subconscious. None of that is really happening, and that's why all the people are people that he already knows from other leaps. They have They look the same, but their names are different. Because his subconscious is putting it all into the context of a leap, so that he better understands it, and is able to evolve from that base, something like that. And there's all kinds of other examples, proofs of that. Seeing all these people, that's one. The name of the bar, is Al's bar, Al's place. The bartender says his name is Al or whatever. There's another one really, really big detail. It involves this guy. Pretty well known actor. I forget his name. He's been in movies and whatnot. So this guy is very significant in the last episode. He interacts with Sam. He interacts with everybody else in the bar, and he helps Sam save two gentlemen who there's a mine collapse in this town, and this guy helps Sam save these two guys. And after he rescues these guys, they all come back in the bar, and there's a big celebration. And Sam turns to this guy and raises his beer, and the guy does this, and then he leaps. He gets all shimmery and disappears. And Sam sees this. He sees this leaping effect. Now, in the show, it's never really explained if that's the case. Like when Sam leaps in and out, do people see that? Because when he leaps in, a lot of times he's around people, and nobody ever comments on that. So for Sam to see it, that was significant. But it's significant for another reason, because this guy is someone from Al's past. This is some guy that Sam never met. This is a guy that died before Sam was even born. The character's name was Shtapa, I believe, something like that, Shtapa. And this is Al's like great uncle or something like that, uncle, great uncle, whatever. And but he has the same name. Everyone knows him as Shtapa. But what's bizarre is that after Shtapa leaps, nobody remembers him. Well, I take it back. They know the name. One of the guys, people forget who he is there in the bar, but this one guy inexplicably does know who Sam is talking about. And that's when he says that Shtapa couldn't have been here. He died like, years and years ago. And this just, makes Sam crazy because he can't explain that. But the explanation is simple. Because he and Al switched places, and because he leaped into Al in the episode, which I didn't talk about, Leap for Lisa. We should go right back. That reminded me. We'll take a little detour, because this is a really good episode too. Leap for Lisa. This is the one with Terry Farrell. Very young, very attractive Terry Farrell. And this is kind of a goofy episode. In this one, Sam ends up changing Al's history and sends Al to the electric chair. And what happens is Al gets convicted of murder, which he didn't commit, and they execute him. And what happens is there is a different hologram person that is the person that's helping Sam, because Al, Sam and Al never met because he is changing Al's history. So this is Roddy McDowall. the guy from Planet of the Apes, I believe. And I remember when this was on TV because they showed the when they showed the preview for it. I remember they showed this scene, but they blocked him out. He was all black, and they were like, "Surprise special guest," blah blah blah, And you watched that. That was a good teaser. But this is a really good episode. Um, this is the guy that plays young Al. They found a good actor to. I know this kid. He's been in some other things now, probably, but really good job finding a younger version of Al. And what happens is the girl Lisa. Um, I don't know. It's kind of a weird. It's not the best. It's not the best written story because the girl, like, she's like sleeping around with all the soldiers, all the Navy guys, and her husband, who's not a very nice guy. He tolerates her sleeping around. And what happens is Sam's buddy is the one who actually kills her. And but he doesn't say anything. He lets Al like take the fall at first. But then, the hologram, they get it worked out. And then like Sam changes history and Al comes back and everything seems fine. Um, but everything, everyone, the characters are smiling and they all come together. And I'm just like, wait a minute. Okay, so he changed history and Al is back alive and everything. And he saved the girl. She's still alive, but she's still like sleeping around. And he's all chummy with his friend who basically let Al get gassed by not telling the court that it was him and not Al. So when you break it down, it's a little bit caca, I think. And every time I watch it, I like the story. I like the idea of Al dying and coming back. That was kind of different way to do things. But the story is a little shaky for me on that. Like, I mean, she's still, what is stopping that situation from happening again? So I don't know. But so we'll go back to mirror image, and we'll finish up that. So this is the guy whose name is Gushy, who's the computer guy in the present, but his name is Gushy here in this time, and see Sam is not having a good time here because he doesn't know what is going on. He's like, I'm myself, but I think I'm going crazy, and you do start to feel, these as the episode wears on. Um, you're kind of like, what is really going on? What is going on? Is Sam just going to be like stuck in this bar, forever? You know? So what ends up happening is Sam has a conversation at the end because he talks to the bartender about this, and the bartender knows what he's talking about. So at the end, he goes outside and he has another conversation with the bartender. Here's a shot of it, and this is a really um, very interesting conversation, and it does provide like watching it the first time on TV. I know people weren't happy with it. I wasn't happy with it. Watching it now, you know, it I mean, the thing with Quantum Leap, and the new show is the same way in this regard. Um, once you get the guy back, okay, that's kind of the end of the show, unless you want to set it up in a different way where you're target leaping. They pick a situation, but they're able to get the guy back. Now, I'm totally on board with that. I would totally be on board with a reworked show where the time traveler was not stuck. Like they could like Time Cop or Time Tunnel or Stargate but time travel. And there's a few like time travel Stargate episodes where they go through the thing and they keep going through it and the same thing happens. Um, I would be totally okay with a show like that. And that's what I was kind of hoping this new show, which I'll get into in a minute. I was hoping the new show would be more like that, where they can control it more because you get bits and pieces of details about that, both in the original show and this new show, where it seems as though people from some future or some other, universe or whatever, they can leap in a more specific way. It's not as random as with Sam. But for whatever reason, in whatever present day we do this show in, they can't figure it out for whatever reason. So the new team didn't learn anything from the old team, apparently, because we have the same type of situation. In the new show, they are dealing a little bit more with it. Um, Earlier on, they do some far future time travel into the present day, and that affects things and whatnot. So they are showing that the quantum leaping technology is still active in some farther future, and that's very interesting. That's really the only there's really only like a handful. I mean, if you watch the whole show, like I have multiple times, um, as far as like continuing it, and like this far ahead of time, there's only a handful of things that people that are interesting enough, on their own, that not involving a leap situation specifically, just raw ideas. Why didn't Sam go home? Where did he go? Can he get back? And there just weren't too much time has passed. You gotta and these new episodes, they're shorter. It's like 42 minutes. So you're really banging through these scenes in the new show. It's like a Rubik's cube. Like you're here, you're there, you're there, you're here, you're this, you're doing here, you're here. So it's, you know. So here we are at the end of the last episode, and Sam is talking to this bartender, but he's not a bartender. He knows, Sam's deal, and the guy seems to allude to Sam that he's not done, and the leaps, he may be encountering more difficult challenges, and that was interesting. That it was interesting that they were saying that, okay, it's, the show is going to continue, but we're going to get into some, you know you know different situations. So it gave it a little bit more of a more darker, kind of a tone, which is always, I think time travel shows are really better, I think, when there's something dramatic happening, or it's something that could unravel the your whole history, or whatever. Time travel geeks, we like all this, paradox stuff. So he has this conversation with the guy, and the guy is basically telling Sam that he can go home whenever he wants to. Which for me, I was like, okay, go home. Poof, I would go. But Sam doesn't go home. Instead, what he does at the end of the episode is he goes and he tells Beth that Al is coming home, so that Beth does not remarry, and Al actually has like three daughters, I think. One of them is featured in the new show. Her name is Janice, and she is being sorely underutilized. I can't. I'll talk about it in a minute, but we'll get into the new show. But so he has this conversation with the bartender, and then he leaps, and he leaps into Beth's house and gives her the information, and then presumably he leaps out and goes away. But when he leaps into Beth's house, he is there as Sam Beckett. There's nobody else in her house. He is there as himself. So that is the best answer you're going to get for what happened to Sam Beckett. His subconscious figured it out that ultimately he was in control. Now, you might tell yourself that that would be such a freeing thought. Okay, I'm in control. I can do what I want. So he does the thing for Al. He leaps out. Then what? What does he do after that? Well, you can. That's where you get into speculation. You know, why doesn't he go at least go back to the current present time, see his wife, see his presumably he has a daughter that he doesn't remember. She's mentioned ever so briefly in one episode, and they don't elaborate on it, but there's that. But there's all kinds of reasons why he wouldn't make himself known. The main reason that I always stick with is, the government didn't really believe that Beckett was time traveling. They always believed, and this is part of the reason they shut the project down, is, even in spite of having the imaging chamber and the person in the waiting room, it's not clear if the government people knew about all that. Maybe they weren't telling people about certain things, but they didn't really believe Al. Um, so they shut the project down. And in that interim situation, I think what end up happening was that the government people, started going through Ziggy's, notes and Al's notes and all that stuff, and it probably takes them a while to do this, but they start to believe, and they start to realize that if they were wrong, and Sam is time traveling, um, that's a national security problem. It's like if they go from not believing to believing, well, then government has to do something about that. So they shut the project down for whatever reason. But there's no guarantee to them that that's the end of Sam, because there's no explanation. And they read whatever notes Al took, whatever he wrote down about talking to Sam in this episode at the end when Sam is rambling on, and Sam mentions Stappa, and that's how he finds out that that's someone that Al knows, and that trips Sam out. He can't understand how that could be, and Al can't believe it either. I mean, Al is as dumbstruck as anybody that Sam is talking about his great uncle Stappa, who died like 100 years ago. It's like, how does Sam know? Well, I mean, Sam knows. We've already discussed how Sam knows, but Al, Al isn't thinking that. Al isn't thinking, oh, he knows because we've leapt together. But that's the reason. And Sam doesn't explain this to Al because he's having a mental moment, is what's happening. So my take on Beckett is really that he realizes that he is the most dangerous man who has ever lived because of what he's able to do. He can lead, he's he's like Electric Man. He's totally unstuck from time. He can leap. He's like Electro, more or less. I mean, he is able to, throw himself wherever. So for Sam, there is no going home. I don't think. Um, I think in his mind, he's always home because he can go anywhere. So he could always go back if he wanted to. I think that probably it would be too. It would be. I mean, what kind of a life would he have? If you really think about it, what kind of a life would he have? As soon as anyone caught on from the government, because they'd be watching. I mean, they'd be watching his wife's house. They'd be watching Al. They'd be watching everything. So he'd never be able to just re-enter his life. No way. No way. And he wouldn't want to put his wife or his family in a situation where they could be used as leverage against him. So I think that he really realized that his life was over, and there was no reason for him to go lament. You know, so that's there's that angle, and also um, there was something else I was gonna say about that too. Um, but it slipped my mind. But it wasn't it wasn't the most fulfilling final episode. But what final episode really is that fulfilling? Let's see, the final episode of MacGyver, that was a snoozer. The final episode of Star Trek Next Generation, not that great, and the writing was sloppy at the end. Some people picked up on that, some people didn't. Not my favorite, not my favorite one there. And then you have like the X Files, that went on probably longer than it should have. So anytime you have a show that you're really invested in, you love the characters, you like the ideas. There's going to be disappointment. We just have to accept it. But all in all, it's a great show, and it's streaming on Peacock, I think, and you can buy it at Walmart or whatever. But 97 episodes. It's a great show. You should definitely check it out. So that was my trip down memory lane with original Quantum Leap. Great show. I wish they would have done something with it earlier on, but they didn't. However, they did start a continuation, and we just did episode 5 of season 2 of this revival show starring Ernie Hudson as Magic and a bunch of other actors I'd never heard of before. I'd never heard of. Uh, the main guy. I don't have his name up here, and but he's good. I just want to keep calling him Ben. That's his character name, so we'll just call him Ben. This actor, this is Ian. Ian's like the computer um, nerd type of character, but Ian is also involved in some time travel shenanigans. This show picks up like I guess like 30 years. Well, actually, no, because it's like 2023. This show takes place in the present. So I don't know exactly. I forget exactly. It's Raymond Lee. Raymond Lee has been. I don't know exactly how far apart the two shows are. It escapes me, but there's a lot of things. There are things that are different about this show, and there was a lot of negative energy being thrown at this show even before it even started. I remember when it was first announced that NBC was doing a revival. And I just wanted to stick Q-tips in my ears because I knew I knew things automatically without being a time traveler. I knew certain things were going to happen. One, I knew that whatever the cast was going to be, people weren't going to like it. I knew that it was going to be, and it's not because of diversity. It's not because of diversity. I'm all about diversity. Star Trek is diverse. Star Wars is diverse. Diversity is the spice of life. Okay, it's not about diversity. But what it is about is talent. Okay, it's about talent. Um, it's also about writing. It's about writing. And the reason that original Quantum Leap went 97 episodes, it could have easily done 100. Why they didn't shoot for 100 on that. The point is that for a show like Quantum Leap, as dense and character driven a show as it is, it's denser than Star Trek. I mean, because you have, and plus in the original show, you're spending way more time in that situation. So you need writing and actors that can carry that. Aside from, I mean, you have Scott Bakula, but he's more or less along for the ride with the audience in the show. He's interacting with people in situations that are completely new to him too. And so you find yourself, even if the that particular um, story or situation isn't the most interesting to you, you're in it. You're stuck in it. You know, um, in the new show, it's set up in a different way, and people. Well, first we'll stay with the with the cast for a minute. They're doing too much with the characters, but yet not doing enough. There's probably too many. I mean, these are your five sort of main character people. You have Ben the Leaper, Ian the computer person, Magic is the well, I mean he used to be. In the first season he's like the leader, the main guy. And Jen is the computer security person, and Addison is ex-military, and her and Ben are in a relationship in the first season. And I can tell you, that was one of my predictions for the show was they were gonna do too much character stuff, character drama, and turn it into like a sitcom kind of a deal. And in the first season, um, that's kind of like what they did. It's not it's not Friends, but there are scenes and dialogue in the first season that are just a little bit too cheeky for me, a little bit too cozy wozy. We're dealing with this quantum, situation, and in the first season, there's other time travel shenanigans going on. There's another leaper in the mix, and he's interacting with Ben, but the team just doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal. There's a bit of a kind of a nonchalantness to it. It's hard to explain, but it's frustrating. In the original show, the present day people were always laser focused on the situation, whatever it was, and you weren't in the present day that much in the original show. In the new show, you are spending more time in the present. And now people don't like it, but let's talk about it for a minute. Because, as fans of the show, we have a quandary. Okay? We want answers. Or we want better answers or expanded an expansion on answers that we have, but maybe we haven't really thought about in a while and realized. We should go back and we should watch some of the old episodes again, and then I think people might be a little bit more accepting of what's going on in the new show, especially in the second season, um, because they are endeavoring to provide explanation for things. In the first season, there's a lot of character setup and explanation, and they bring in a couple other characters that aren't other actors that aren't in this photo. They bring back Beth from the original show. She is only in a couple scenes in the first season, and along with Al's daughter, who they seem to be setting up for some big reveal or something at the beginning of the show, but then like they did nothing with her. So in the new show, you're getting a lot of details thrown at you. So you kind of gotta like file things away in your mind because you never know. You never know when detail from there is going to be connected to something later, and that's there's a that's kind of a wonky way to write, and there's reasons why that's happening. The writers strike, the crunch, that has might have something to do with it. Um, Something else that has to do with it is just I don't think I don't feel like the writers on this new show. Um, I think they're getting a little bit too far away from things. That's how I felt in the first season. They were throwing a lot of ideas out there, and they're not really connecting the ideas. They're just kind of giving you more and more. Um, but what I will say that the season one finale, I thought was really ambitious. It was it had surprises. It made sense. The ending didn't make any sense. The ending was like some of the stuff in the last episode are just like, what's going on? It's like you know. And then we get into season two, and they're not really explaining or dealing with things. So but the the only way that we're gonna get an explanation, the only way we're gonna get answers is to spend time, spend some time in the present, in this new show, because I think what they're doing based on the second season. We're in episode 5 of season 2. They're doing something different with magic now, and this last episode was actually really good. It was really very poignant and really good for the character. They're doing a sort of a parallel character arc with magic. After after Sam didn't come back and they shut the project down, that was a hard time for Al. That was a hard time for him. And he got to drinking and it got to be out a little bit out of control, and he had some problems in that time. And so what they're doing now with Magic is they're sort of blending his character with Al's. He restarted the project, but there was a problem, and they thought they couldn't find Ben in the first season, so they shut the project down again. And there was a 3 year gap between season 1 and season 2, so that's a different element from the original show. In the original show, there was no evidence that Sam was leaping like irregularly, like years would go by and then he would do his next leap and then he would go. There was no evidence that he was spending extended periods of time not in a host. But in the new show, for some reason, he is gap leaping, and he just hit a bump, and it was 3 years. But for Ben, it was instantaneous. So that's a different element, and I think it's a really cool idea. I hope they play on that more, because part of the reason why they're doing this larger cast may be because Ben is going to have another gap. Maybe the next one will be another 10 years or 15 years. Some of these characters, they may age up throughout the show. I don't know. I don't know if that's really what they're a plan, but I think it would be interesting to do something like that and sort of stretch the time of his leaping out. But that's because of the way that this show is structured. It's not going to be that's not going to be enough. It's not that's a cool idea. That's not going to be enough. They're gonna. I'm hoping that the writer's strike does not affect the show too much. I know there's an episode, not this coming week, but the next week is episode 6. So I don't know how many episodes they actually have written. Overall, I don't have a huge problem with this show. There's things about it I like. There's things about it I don't like. I don't think it's the strongest acting. Really, Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. They had a great chemistry. Just the two of them. Having all these different characters in the mix and different, we're in the present, we're in the past. It has a busier feel to it, and that is one thing that doesn't appeal to Quantum Leap fans. Now here in season 2, and like the thing with the hologram in the original show, it was 99% of the time it was Al. It was always Al. There were a couple times when it was somebody else, but usually it was Al. And they're kind of screwing up in the new show because the hologram is not consistent. It was his wife or his fiance, but she's, because of the gap leap, now she's with some other guy, and Ben knows, and he told her off, and now she's not the hologram, so magic is going to do it. But I see in the preview for the next episode, Jen's doing it. Because even in this last episode, Magic was having an emotional problem being the hologram. He was watching. I'm not going to get into the situation, but he was watching a situation play out that he could relate to from his own childhood. He was watching these kids in a situation, and he's standing there and he's having this, emotional reaction. And as soon as he did that, I'm like, oh no, here we go again, because Addison, the character name, um, she has emotional breakdowns in the first season, like all the time. Like I think even like in the first one, like she has a fit, or the second one, she passes out. And then there's an episode where they lose contact with Ben for like 30 seconds, like literally 30 seconds, and she just freaks out. She starts yelling and she's convulsing and everything, and then poof, Ben is back, and she's like, "Okay, I'm better now." And it's just so frustrating to have that imbalance. It's like, um, how can Ben trust you if you're on the verge of a nervous breakdown? And plus, Ben has his memories. See, Ben has advantages that Sam did not have. So at least Ben can't be BS'd. He knows, what's up. So he has every right to be angry that the whole team just gave. Yeah, it's the military. They had a budget. They shut it down. But that whole part, I never really agreed with. Even in the original show, like, you know, you were telling them that it was time travel, and they weren't believing you. So why were they giving you all this money if they didn't believe you? So that part didn't really make any sense. But in this new show, they're doing the same thing. In season two, Ernie Magic is not like active. He's retired, and the person that's running, really in control of the project now, is Addison's new boyfriend, and Ben knows this. He's not happy about that either. But the new guy mentioned that he wasn't telling Washington that it's time travel either. So I don't get it. Like, what are they telling Washington that's really going on? And so Washington, doesn't believe still that Sam was time traveling. So there's a few things about the new show that just, I don't know, they just don't really, the chemistry isn't there in the present day. There's a little things that they're doing in the second season are making things a little bit more interesting. I would say a little bit more interesting. And the leap situations, for the most part, have been okay. But you're talking about 42 minutes. So again, like, you know, they really there really has to be a balance in things, and it's not a really, this show doesn't feel that balanced. I'll tell you that. That's one negative to it. It just doesn't feel like it's really grounded to anything. You're in the leap, and that's happening, and then you're in the present, and the characters are talking, and there's a little bit too much dialogue, I think, in the present. In the present day, they should be figuring things out and learning things, and trying to figure out where the far future people are coming from, but they're not in the present. They're just too getting too just too wrapped up in emotion and stuff. It's like, this is not quantum soap opera, people. It's just not. So um, I am trying to keep an open mind with it. I'm taking a balanced approach. There's a lot of negative energy surrounding this show, and so I'm not I'm not trying to be too harsh on it. But at the same time, as a fan of the original show, I do I do see what people are talking about and what they're not happy about. And my hope is that NBC is not um, making knee jerk reactions to things. But I hope that maybe they're paying a little bit attention to people. Um, if there if there is and I'll say this too, the show is not woke. I'm not even gonna I'm not even gonna get into any of that, but I'm just saying it at the end here. It's and that was the big thing, even before the show was even on. It's woke, it's agenda, blah blah blah. Trust me, as a big fan of the original show, the new show is not woke. There's nothing there's nothing overtly sexual at all in it. I mean, and if you watch the original show, I mean there's it's every bit as I mean Scott Bakula wears bathing suits and dresses and drag and skirts and all bras and all kind girdles and all kinds of stuff in that show. And it's weird. My sister used to always make fun of me watching this show. He dresses in girls' clothes and wears makeup and and she loved making jokes. But for me, I didn't find it funny. I found the show very interesting and visually stimulating. I thought it was very interesting that it wasn't like Star Trek where it's basically the characters are all the same and it's they're all dealing with the same situation. In a show like Quantum Leap, it's basically one guy and dealing with all these different random people. So the new show is definitely busier, and I do have hope that that they will sort of give us more, explan. The team needs to there needs to be a little bit less joking, and a little more like we got to get Ben back. We got to figure out, you know, um, where uh, Martinez came from, and what's up with other details in the first season. So hopefully they will touch more on that. So basically, that's all I got. So I hope you enjoyed my tour down memory lane of Quantum Leap. And the new show is on Wednesdays on NBC, and you can watch it on Peacock on Thursdays if you stream it. So that's that, and I am the man. Hope you enjoyed this bonus video that has nothing to do with video games, but this is just something I wanted to do for fun because I am watching the new show and I'm a big fan of the old show. So if anybody has any questions or comments about any of this, keep it. But let's be nice. Let's be nice because after all, it's just a TV show. Okay, I know people have strong views about certain things, and I do too. I mean, there's things about the show I don't like. You know what I mean? It's not perfect, but I think it has potential. I don't see it. I don't see it going 5 seasons. But they could surprise us, and I don't know what the numbers are as far as viewership. I don't look at that. I've watched every episode. I've streamed every episode. I'm busy on Wednesdays, so I don't watch it. But I like the streaming thing. So I hope that they are looking at those numbers too, and realizing that it's not because I mean, I pay Peacock. You have to pay for Peacock now, so it's like $10 But Peacock has a lot of other services on it that I like. I don't pay for it just for Quantum Leap. Not that I wouldn't, but I don't. They have a lot of sports content that I'm interested in, and they have movies and stuff. So for $10 a month, it's not a big deal. So, anyways, thank you for watching. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time.